One More Chapter, a division of HarperCollins presents The Orphan's Letters by Glynis Peters. Read by Rebecca Courtney. Chapter 1. Kitty Pattison looked at the small group around her, then down at her blood-spattered apron. Her body trembled with cold from the snow and shock. Her tongue struggled to move around her dry mouth as she tried to call for help. People lay everywhere, and she struggled to understand what had happened. The screaming voices and the rattling bells of the fire engines vibrated her eardrums, and she clamped her chill-blamed hands over her ears. Exhausted from another night of heavy bombing, Kitty wondered how much more Northern England could take, how much more she could endure. The deaths were getting to her, and her body ached less than her heart after the recent attack. Winter cold was another obstacle, and she watched people struggling to keep warm as they headed in nightclothes towards the makeshift medical or tea marquees. "Another night like this, and we'll have nowhere to work," complained a doctor Kitty was seconded to work alongside. "It's better than not having anywhere to live or parents to watch over you," Kitty retorted. The man had done nothing but moan all evening. She appreciated he was tired and frustrated, but talking like a defeatist in front of frightened victims was not, in Kitty's opinion, the professional approach. "We're sitting ducks. Doesn't that scare you, Kitty?" asked one of the other Red Cross nurses working nearby. "I think Hitler invading frightens me more, but yes, areas like this make those living around here easy targets," Kitty replied, and continued to assist the doctor attempting to stem the blood flow from a pregnant woman's leg. The woman looked exhausted, and Kitty wondered what her life was like before the war. Going by the 5 children hanging around her skirts, faces black with soot and dust, not an easy one, but better than today, of that Kitty was certain. The woman was pulled from the wreckage of her home and refused to budge until all of her children were found. She said her husband was a stevedore on duty, but they feared he was crushed in the first wave of the bomb attack, and her children were all she had left, a reminder of the love they shared. The British docks were large targets for Hitler, and he ensured his pilots kept up their endless attacks. Quite often the pilots would offload excess bombs when they headed home, and residential properties bore the brunt of their disposal. The latter part of 1941 was proving to be a nightmare, with back-to-back rescue missions. Every spare minute was spent helping the injured, and the duty rota at the hospital rolled into one long week of working non-stop, and brought about the same horrific duties for Kitty on a daily basis. Her dreams were now nightmares, and she often only had 2 quiet hours per day, which were frequently disturbed by night sweats and the calling out of the other girls in the room enduring their own horrors. Kitty knew she was at the end of her tether with mopping up blood and seeing young men lose their limbs, or their bodies burned beyond recognition or help. She sobbed in private and smiled at those who needed someone strong and supportive in their lives. They deserved that much from her, but she was not sure how much longer she could paint on the smile. She had lost hope, and it was a dangerous thing to lose during World War II. With a heavy heart, Kitty had sent a letter to Michael expressing her feelings, in need of his guidance and the comfort of his wise words. She gave up on his response when, after weeks, she had not received a reply. The silence haunted her. Would she ever know if he was still alive? Had he remembered to name her as next of kin when they got engaged? She had added him to her list, alongside her aunt and uncle. In her last letter, she asked if she was to be contacted should anything happen.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?